Don has a lot to say in question 17, and he says, I would like then to trace the evolution of catalysts upon the mind-body-spirit complexes and how it comes into use and is fully used to create this tuning. I assume that the sub-logos that form our tiny part of the creation, using the intelligence of the logos of which it is a part, provides, shall I say, the base catalyst that will act upon mind-body complexes and mind-body-spirit complexes before they reach the state of development where they can begin to program their own catalyst. Is this correct? Ross says, this is partially correct. The sub-logos offers the catalysts at the lower levels of energy. The first triad. These have to do with the survival of the physical complex. The higher centers gain catalysts from the biases of the mind-body-spirit complex itself in response to all random and directed experience. So we have explored this in a previous session. Again, my memory is pretty bad today, I guess, because I don't remember when we said this. We might have been talking about second density, so maybe session 19 or 20, possibly, but I don't remember. This might have been also Catalyst, session 33 or so, I believe. So one of those sessions. But we talked about how Catalyst is provided, and that's why Don, very perceptive of course, and a great student of the Law of One, well, a good person remembering, so he knew all this stuff. He said mind-body complexes, which means animals, and mind-body-spirit complexes, so second density and third density. He's talking about the sub-logos, basically. All right, let me give context. I'm talking like I have a line already. So Don is now asking if he wants to trace catalyst, and we know that catalyst is sort of provided by the logos. Not sort of, it's provided by the logos for the lower energy centers, for the survival, for the first instinctual responses to becoming, of being, which is, the animal way. If you trace evolution, you can understand this neatly. Particularly the second density entity, the animal, let's say, who in its process, it receives experience through the catalyst of the environment. And the environment allows the animal to create discernment as to who he is or what it is. And it realizes that he is, or it is. And this realizing that it is the work that is done in second density to evolve the third density. That I am. And that I am, funny enough, especially talking about Advaita, that I am is the prerequisite for third density. And to me, it is the resolution of the octave. So the first thing we realize is I am. That is what an animal would say, or an animal would start discerning this. I mean, this with pets. Pets realize I'm here. Hey, pay attention to me. I do this and that happens. And they see, I'm thinking about Oliver. My dog sees, that his actions create reactions, and it's him. So you see this beautiful interplay of actions that allows him to realize that he is. And so that self-awareness is what he is sort of harnessing. He's collecting. And hopefully he will graduate to third density. And in third density, that's what we deal with. I am. I exist. This doesn't happen until you're probably 5-7 years old or so. Because when you're born, and that's, I mean, I don't want to get into this, but it's just a beautiful way to describe the evolution of consciousness and how we as babies know that we are the universe. There is no separation as babies. But we develop this I am, and this I am gets laden with titles and divisions and so on, which is the proper way of third density. That's how you process new catalysts for experience, and or experience in general. So this process of receiving catalyst is what we get from the logos. The logos is creating this whole octave for that, for us to live within the construct of the logos. And when we interact with it, then we're making use of that catalyst. Now, this catalyst is just basic, and this is what Ra is saying here. For animals and for human beings, this catalyst is basic. It's a structure. So this structure, as we see it, we start creating on top of it. We are the ones painting. The basic catalyst is sort of like a canvas, you know, a matrix. I think it's probably a better word to be used here in the raw material. So the matrix is what allows us to, create things, to build stuff. We are co-creators as we are building or manifesting or creating in the matrix. And so that's why they say the sublogos offers the catalyst at the lower levels of energy. The first triad, you exist, this is you, this is reality right here, the physical reality at least. These have to do with the survival of the physical complex. The higher energy centers gain catalyst from the biases of the mind-body-spirit complex itself in response to all random and directed experiences. Yeah, so once again, this is the survival is just you knowing that you exist, that you're here. And as long as you live in, which is the predominance in our planet Earth, as long as we live in me, I need to survive, what's in it for me, and all of this, you're trapped in the lower energy centers, in the lower densities. You're trapped there. That's fine. You will eventually realize that this is not all about you. Actually, it's all about you, but you are not the separate self. And it's all about you being an extension, or everything being an extension of you. So that is when the biases of the mind-body-spirit complex needs to obviously be directed to the higher energy centers, whether positive or negative. So, Ra has more to say, and says, thus the less developed entity will perceive the catalyst about it in terms of survival of the physical complex, with the distortions which are preferred. The more conscious entity, being conscious of the catalytic process, will begin to transform the catalyst offered by the sublogos into catalysts which may act upon the higher energy in exile. So this is actually just, I kind of alluded to all of this already. See, the less developed entity, or less harmonized, actually develop this word may be used for not activated energy centers. So an entity who is less developed may not have higher energy centers activated, and that being the heart and so on, because we have yellow ray activated here. You have to. You energize it a lot more. You sort of add more to it, whether positive or negative, but you have it activated already. So in any case, it'll perceive everything as survival, just like I said, with distortions which are preferred, depending on how they perceive the world in survival. You can see this in the news. The news never give you anything heart related. Never. Maybe there's a fluke somewhere, and we do get, some love and understanding and union and companionship and sharing and all of this. But look at the news. The news are always focused on that. And a lot of people are living the news. They are focused on that. Those are the distortions that are preferred. War, strife, there is mass exodus, the coronavirus, whatever. All of this is the distortions preferred by less developed entities. And that's just how it is. That's why you can see also here the suppression by the negative philosophy to maintain people focus on the unimportant. But again, that's just how it is. The more conscious entity, being conscious of the catalytic process, will begin to transform the catalyst offered by the sublogos into catalysts which may act upon the high energy nexi. So see, now you're co-creating. Now, when you take this catalyst, the same catalyst, the war, the strife, the health issues, and your struggles with life, and so all of this that may be seen by the less advanced entity as survival. I must be scared, I must be on my toes all the time, and all of this. You begin to use this as, oh, I see what's happening. This is all me. This is all happening for me. And I am you. And so now you're starting to shape reality. You are taking it into your own hands. You're not being told what's happening. You know what's happening. So there is no cookie cutter for this. Actually, there's no recipe for this. You create anything. As long as you're creating from love, then you are creating. Otherwise, you're manipulating reality, which is what the negatives do. The negatives cannot create anything because you cannot create anything without love. However, you can take what has been created and use it for depicting a reality that is not. This is what David Icke calls inversion of reality. It's taking that has been created to show something different and distort it for your own gains. Man, I want to look for that quote from J.R.R. Tolkien, who said that evil cannot create anything new. It can only take what has been created and destroy it. I forgot. It's a very famous now because of Amazon's. I'll probably look it up because I think this is so... I'm sorry that I have to type and... but I want to share this quote. And I'm always butchering quotes, so... I can't type today. It's so relevant right now because that's exactly... corrupt is the word that he used. Evil cannot create anything new. They can only corrupt and ruin what good forces have invented or made. I love it. See, this is negative entities at work. They cannot create anything new. So then again, just go back to the raw material, and you see that this is what's happening. You have to use your heart. You create with love, and so that's it. That's the prerequisite. Just create with love. Love means all inclusive. There is no separation. And if you're feeling separate, then maybe you have a blockage in your heart. That's beautiful. You will unblock that and create infinity in front of you for others. Oh, it's so beautiful. All right. Ra has most to say. Ra says, thus the sublogos can offer only a basic skeleton, shall we say, of catalyst. The muscles and flesh, having to do with the, shall we say, survival of wisdom, love, compassion, and service, are brought about by the action of the mind-body-spirit complex and basic catalyst so as to create a more complex catalyst, which may in turn be used to form distortions within these higher energy centers. What are these distortions? You see, now we're going back to the meaning of distortion within the raw material, and it is any form of alteration of infinity. Light is a distortion. It's the first, actually this is the third distortion, but it's one of the primal distortions. So from light come all the other distortions that we have, all the infinite. It is happening right now at all times. I remember when Don asked the first distortions, and Ra said the first one is that infinity became aware, and so free will is the first distortion. And from free will came love. That's the second distortion. And from love, love impregnated light as the third distortion. So it would manifest itself, and that is love, light, light, love. It is the manifestation of infinity. Intelligent energy, we call it too. And from there, Don asks, all right, what follows next? And Ra says, what's next is what's happening right now. You know, it's the infinite distortions that we are. So that is the distortion that they're talking about here when they said, my God, Ra doesn't use commas except for incise. All right, when they said to be used from distortions within the these higher energy centers, they're talking about that. They're talking about the higher energy center usage of energy for new distortions for your creation. And you see, I love it. When I said that this was like a matrix, a structure, Ra is saying that this is a basic skeleton, a basic skeleton of catalyst. That is what the sub-logos gives us, the sun gives us in the octave of creation here in the solar system. The muscles and flesh having to do with the survival of wisdom, love, and compassion. Basically, us, you know, we create that. We are the muscles and flesh is the wisdom, love, and compassion and service. They are brought about by the actions of the mind-body-spirit complex on basic catalysts, so as to create more complex catalysts that is later used by the higher energy centers. So an advanced being, an adept, stops seeing themselves as a victim of the world, as being moved by the world, and they see themselves as the world. And they say, wow, this is amazing. Let me see what I can do. Because from this perspective, all I'm seeing is myself in different aspects. So from there, it creates. And from that creation, we get the multiplicity of beautiful artistic expressions of the world that we have. Innovations and so on. Technology is actually an expression of that. You see, technology has been created with love, but it's not treated with love. See how I explained that everything is created with love? Well, technology was created with love. I mean, powder, the thing that we have used for hundreds of years already to kill each other, that was created with love. Found with love. In the Chinese, I believe, if my history is right there, they had powder for probably hundreds of years, thousands of years before we found it and say, oh, wow, we can use this and manipulate it for extortions. So, whatever. That's just how it works, and we just use it. Again, we need negativity. I don't want to sound like, you know, I'm against negativity. If you take the negative, you can't have a positive. So Ra has more to say. This is actually looking beautiful so far. All right, Ra finishes this answer, question 17, with saying, the more advanced the entity, the more tenuous the connection between the sub-logos and the perceived catalyst, until finally all catalyst is chosen, generated, and manufactured by the self for the self. Of course. So now you can see this final remark from Ra as how it is. You know, the more advanced the entity, the more tenuous the connection between the sublogos, because the sublogos is no longer, say, I mean, it's providing catalyst, but it's not being perceived as survival, as something from the being to be used for its own gain, for its own survival. Even the negatives have to become so diluted from, or separate from reality, I'm assuming, that they no longer care about their survival, because they know who they are. They are God, but just a mistaken God. So